Okay, so we are live. Hello and welcome to everyone, members of the Monk Life community who are following along with our Buddhist book club. Today we are going to be moving on to part 2 of chapter 2, and mainly we will be reading through, maybe having a little bit of discussion, a little bit of exploration about this book, The Art of Living by Thich Nhat. Overall, this is probably maybe part 6 or part 7 of this continuation of our book club. Um, but for the purposes of this video, we are on part 2 of chapter 2. So, as usual, we will officially start our campaign of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom at 10 minutes after we begin, so 9 minutes from now. And you can take that time to find your book, to find your body, your breath, and to really settle in to our practice together. Keeping in mind that if you're watching this after the live is already recorded, so if you're watching this later on as we're no longer live, you can simply move ahead the marker, move ahead that little dot to the 10-minute mark, and that's when we will officially begin. Okay? So welcome everyone, and hope you're all doing well. Looking forward to our Buddha book club. I see Miss Maddie and Nimue and U6 and Bunep here on the Discord server, so that's great. And if you're joining through YouTube, make sure that you say hello so that we know you're here as well. We can kind of connect that way. Not sure exactly where we left off, but I'm about to find out. And even if this is your first time watching, your first time joining in the Buddha Book Club, I'm sure there are going to be snippets of wisdom that are accessible to you, even though you haven't been following along up to now. But you can always go back and join and re-watch those episodes from before. But if not, that's also okay. So we are on the section, You Are Much More Than This Body. That's where we are going to start our reading today. You are much more than this body. Hey there, Tova, Susan, Kelvin, and Liz, and Beta on the YouTube, and Katal. Nice to see you joining in the Discord. You're just in time. We still have another 6 minutes till we officially begin. Hey there, Mike. Welcome. Hey, Anastasia. Welcome in. How's everything going, Anastasia? Hello, Chesh. Welcome. Hey there, Steve. And hello, Ariana. So we will officially begin in 3 minutes. So if you are here, you are right on time. Hello, Mariana. Oh, Steve, I cannot hear you. My settings must be, I see your microphone is going. Oh, my video is not on here in the Discord. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. So now it's on, but you couldn't hear me. So let me try, or I couldn't hear you maybe. Headset. How about now we can check? Can someone use their microphone? Okay, wait one moment. Uh, okay, how about now? You can hear me, I can't hear you. Okay. Hello? Hello? Somehow, so many months on, we are still having these technical issues sometimes. But everyone can hear me on YouTube, right? So that at least is working. Okay. Hello? 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 Okay. Now it's better. Now it's everything's fixed, isn't it? Okay. All right. Everything's fixed. Everything's perfect. I felt like I don't know if anyone's ever oh yeah. I don't know if anyone's ever seen uh wow, what's that person's name? He was canceled a long time ago. He was a Fox News big Fox News guy, but now I can't even remember his name. No, no, no. He's alive and well. So he's not canceled. Um Bill O'Reilly or something like that. O'Reilly. And there was a meme where he get very frustrated when he's doing a live production and he says, "Okay, we'll do it live. We can't figure things out, so we'll just have to do them live." But we figured it out live anyway. So, one more. Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of funniness that can happen when we get caught up in our self-centeredness, for sure. Okay, so, oh, looks like we're all ready to go, and we are 3 minutes late, so that's great. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to our official start time of our Buddhist book club. We are now going to begin with our continued reading of Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Art of Living, and we are on chapter 2 on this paragraph. Starting on this paragraph, you are much more than this body. You are much more than this body. And we can take just a moment, just a second, to take a deep breath and to bring our mind home to the body. So to connect with our body, our heart, our mindfulness, our awareness here in the present moment. And bringing to our mind this intention to bring up, to receive some kind of wisdom, some kind of skillful teachings here in our exploration, in our reading of this book. That intention to cultivate wise seeds in our life. And as we read, as we listen, we can stay with the breath, we can stay with our meditation mind, listening from a very heartfelt and embodied place. As we begin our reading. You are much more than this body. By now, you may already begin to see that we are not limited to our physical body, even while we are alive. We inter-are with our ancestors, our descendants, and the whole cosmos. We do not have a separate self. We are never really born, and we never really die. We are interconnected with all life, and we are always in transformation. Buddhist traditions have developed many ways to visualize our life without boundaries. And one of those ways is to see that, as well as our human body, we have many other bodies. Some traditions say we have 3. Others say 5 or 7. Looking deeply, understanding the nature of emptiness and signlessness and the insight of interbeing, we can identify at least 8 different bodies. When we are able to recognize and experience all our bodies, we live our life more fully and face the disintegration of our physical body without fear. The word body here simply means a collection of energy, a body of energy. So we oftentimes thinking of ourselves, our body, as this kind of steel, adamantium, kind of separate entity that is fixed and separate from the environment, separate from the outside world. But in reality, this body is very, very interconnected with the environment, with the water around us, with the moisture in the air, with the heat from the sun. There's not as much separation as we imagine there to be. So the word body here simply means a collection of energy, a body of energy. And our physical body is certainly exactly that, a body of energy. Modern science tells us that everything we perceive is energy. Some kinds of energy we can see or detect with our senses, and some we can detect only with specialized instruments. There may also be types of energy we have not yet learned how to measure, but even so, we may be able to feel and perceive them. We have a close relationship with all our 8 bodies. We can take care of them and they will be there, strong and healthy for us when we need them. And they will encompass the qualities we would like to continue after we pass away. One of my students said, "If I have 8 bodies, then I'm going to have to shower 8 times, 1 for each body." But when we see the interconnection between all the 8 bodies, we see that we need to shower mindfully only once, and we can save a lot of water. It's wonderful to have so many bodies, but don't take my word for it. Investigate and see for yourself. So we have here this idea, this teaching right now of these 8 bodies, but Thich Nhat Hanh hasn't made it clear what are these 8 bodies that Thich Nhat Hanh are talking about. Maybe this whole Buddhism thing isn't what we thought it was. These 8 bodies. So we'll go one by one. That's the next portion of the book, is that we're going to move through these 8 bodies one by one. Starting with the first body, which is the human body. Thanks to our human body, we can feel, we can heal, and we can transform. We can experience life in all its wonders. We can reach out to take care of someone we love. We can reconcile with a family member. We can speak up for others. We can see something beautiful. We can hear the song of the birds and the voice of the rising tide. And we can act to make our world a healthier, more peaceful, and more compassionate place. Thanks to our body, everything is possible. So we very often, I know that I very often often am thinking about my body in this, kind of very miserable and selfish way. It's just this kind of uh, sack of meat that I need to carry around and kind of try to avoid pain and to get pleasure with it. But here, Thich Nhat Hanh talks about our body as a really wonderful opportunity. What can we do with our body? What value does this human body have? And there is a human body here. We're really experiencing it. It's very fundamental. There's no debate about this. So let me reread this part again. Thanks to our human body, we can feel, we can heal, and we can transform. We can experience life in all its wonders. We can reach out to take care of someone we love. We can reconcile with a family member. We can speak up for others. We can see something beautiful. We can hear the song of the birds and the voice of the rising tide. And we can act to make our world a healthier, more peaceful, and more compassionate place. Thanks to our body, everything is possible. So we can have this spirit of gratefulness and appreciation for our body at this moment. And yet, a lot of the time, many of us completely forget we have a body. Our body is there, but our mind is somewhere else, not with the body. Our mind is alienated from the body. It is with our projects, our worries, our fears. We can work on a computer for hours and completely forget our body until something starts to hurt. But how can we say we are truly living our life if we have forgotten we have a body? If our mind is not with our body, we cannot say that we are fully present. We cannot say that we are fully alive. We cannot say that we are truly alive. Breathing mindfully, you simply enjoy your in-breath and out-breath. You bring the mind home to the body and you realize that you are alive, still alive. And this is a wonder. This is amazing. This is unbelievable. To be alive is the greatest of all miracles. So we can take a moment to practice this breathing mindfully, kind of as an experiment. See what we find. See what we experience. Breathing mindfully, you simply enjoy your in-breath and out-breath. You bring the mind home to the body and you realize that you are alive, still alive, and this is a wonder. We think about incredible views, right? We think about a waterfall and an ocean and a mountain and these amazing, incredible views, and wow, it's wonder, it's awe, it's so wonderful. But this body is also a wonder. I mean, it's amazing, it's incredible. And we don't just see it, but we feel it, we experience it. There's this aliveness, there's this profundity at the heart of our being, literally. This moment by moment beating of our heart, this moment by moment breath coming in and going out. There really is an aliveness there. There's a wonder about it. It's a kind of miracle. But when we don't take the moment to look, to be curious, to introspect, to contemplate. We just see the body as this sack of meat that we're hauling around. Or we see the body as a caricature of ourselves, this tool for the mind, this tool for selfish desires. But actually, it's this profound moment-to-moment experience that is very awe-inspiring, very wonder-inspiring. And it's very rare and uncommon to be alive, to have a human body. Most of us still need to learn how to take care of our physical body. We need to learn how to relax and how to sleep. We need to learn how to eat and consume in such a way that our body can be healthy, light, and at ease. If we listen carefully, we can hear our body telling us all the time what it does and does not need. Although its voice is very clear, we seem to have lost our capacity to listen to it. We have pushed our body too hard, and so tension and pain have accumulated. We have been neglecting our body so long it may be lonely. Our body has wisdom, and we need to give ourselves a chance to hear it. So when we practice meditation, this is very much a practice of being with the body, listening to the body, experiencing the body. And just because something is painful doesn't mean that it's not healthy or that it's not good for us. Sometimes being with difficulty, experiencing difficulty, is a very abundant and rich way to grow, to develop. In this very moment, you may like to pause and reconnect with your body. Simply bring your awareness to your breathing and recognize and acknowledge the presence of your whole body. You may like to say to yourself, "My dear body, I know you are there." Coming home to your body like this allows some of the tension to be gently released. This is an act of reconciliation. It is an act of love. So bringing our awareness to our breathing, recognizing and acknowledging the presence of our whole body, we can say to ourselves, "My dear body, I know you are there." Dear body, I know you are there. We can say that a lot of our suffering and our confusion and our trauma is tied up in the mind, in thoughts, in stories, in self-judgment, in judgment of others, in being isolated from our body, detached from our body. And so to really bring our awareness to our breathing and to recognize and acknowledge the presence of our whole body, we can say that this is an act of reconciliation. It is an act of love. And the body can really be a treasure and a refuge for us, a space of peace and calm for us, a teacher for us. Our body is a masterpiece of the cosmos. Our body carries within it the stars, the moon, the universe, and the presence of all our ancestors. How many millions of years of evolution has it taken to give rise to these wondrous 2 eyes, legs, feet, and hands? Countless life forms are supporting our existence in this moment. Reconnecting with our physical body takes only a few moments of stopping and breathing with awareness. We all have time for this, and yet we do not do it. It is strange that we are scared of what happens to our physical body when we die, and yet we are not truly enjoying our physical body while we are alive. We have to learn to live our life deeply as a human being. We need to live every breath deeply, so that we have peace, joy, and freedom as we breathe. When we see clearly that our physical body is a miraculous wonder of life, a gift of the cosmos, it is a flash of insight. Once we have that insight, we must sustain it. If not, restlessness and agitation will take over, and we will forget. We will no longer cherish the miracle of being alive. So we need to sustain and nurture this insight in every moment. It takes concentration, but it is not hard to do. While we walk, while we work, while we eat, we bring our awareness to our human body, simply enjoying the feel of our body's position and movements, and the wonder of being alive. But we should not be caught up in thinking that our body is ourself. Our body is made entirely of non-body elements, including the four great elements of earth, water, fire, and air. Contemplating these elements, we can see a deep connection between the inside and the outside of our body. We cannot draw a boundary between them. The four elements in us are one with the four elements outside of us. Input and output are always taking place. In this very moment, we are receiving and releasing water, warmth, and breath. And we can see countless cells and atoms from our body being nourished by and returning to the earth. When we are sick or dying, it can be very helpful to contemplate this. But we don't need to wait until then to do so. We don't return to the earth only when our entire body disintegrates. We return to the earth, and we are renewed by the earth at every moment. Okay. Anyone have something to share about this? Anyone have a question or an idea?
I can share what I wrote.
Okay, Mike, go ahead. What do you like to share?
Yeah, so like this is a really interesting topic to me. So normally the way that I understand the bodies, right? There's different aspects of, you have your mental self, your spiritual self, however you want to split it. There's all these different ways, but I find that digging into the physical aspects of the body helps me understand all those differences. And so if I look at the body, there's 11 or 12 main systems, right? You have your skeleton, your muscles, your skin, your digestive system, your heart, your lungs, your lymphatic system, all those different systems. And by recognizing the different feeling of how each body interacts with the other bodies, that's one of the main insights that I take away from this.
So the interactions of our different bodies. Is that right? Okay, thank you for sharing that, Mike. So we'll move on to the second body, the Buddha body. Having a human body means you also have a Buddha body. The word Buddha means someone who is awakened and who is working for the awakening of other beings. Buddha body is just a shorthand way of describing our capacity to be awake and fully present, to be understanding, compassionate, and loving. You don't need to know or use the word Buddha to have a Buddha body. You don't have to believe in anything, not even the Buddha. The Buddha Shakyamuni was not a god. He was a human being with a human body. And he lived in such a way that his Buddha body could grow. Every human being can become a Buddha. This is good news. We all have the seeds of mindfulness, love, understanding, and compassion. And whether these good seeds have a chance to grow depends on our environment and our experiences. Do not doubt that you have a Buddha body. There have been times in the past when you had the capacity to understand, to forgive, and to love. These are the seeds of your Buddha body. You have to give the Buddha in you a chance. Allowing the Buddha in you to grow doesn't require special effort. If you wake up to the beauties of nature, you are already a Buddha. And if you know how to maintain that spirit of being awake all day, you are a full-time Buddha. It is not so difficult to be a Buddha. Just keep your awakening alive all day long. We are all capable of drinking our tea in mindfulness. Every one of us can breathe, walk, shower, and eat in mindfulness. Every one of us can wash the dishes in mindfulness. Every one of us can speak and listen with compassion. The more you water the seeds of mindfulness, concentration, insight, and love in you, the more your Buddha body will grow, and the happier and freer you will become. Whatever our livelihood is, whether we are a teacher, an artist, a social worker, or a business person, we can participate in the work of a Buddha, helping to nurture enlightenment and awakening and to bring positive change to the world. When we can be fully present and get in touch with the wonders of life that have the power to heal and nourish us, we will have enough strength to help others suffer less. Someone who has not woken up cannot help another person to wake up. A non-Buddha cannot make another Buddha. To be a Buddha, to wake up, also means to wake up to the suffering in the world and find ways to bring relief and transformation. This requires a tremendous source of energy, your strong aspiration, your mind of love, is that immense source of energy that helps you wake up to the nourishing and healing beauties of nature and to the suffering of the world. It gives you a lot of energy to help. This is the career of a Buddha. And if you have that source of strength in you, if you have the mind of love, you are a Buddha in action. So I hope that many people here are Buddhas in action. Anyone have something to share or ask a question about the second body, the Buddha body?
I do, Bante. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
When I had read this the first time, I had made a note because it troubled me a little when Thich Nhat Hanh says, "Someone who has not woken up cannot help another person to wake up. A non-Buddha cannot make another Buddha." That troubled me because if we understand interbeing, some of those who we're interbeing with will not recognize their Buddha body, will not necessarily be working to be awake. And so I'm struggling with it because I think our interbeing gives us the idea that all of us are part of the formation of all of our growth. And so, nonetheless, the section troubled me there, and I'm not sure how to resolve it.
Well, it's just like for yourself, looking at a picture of yourself when you were younger. You you cannot say that you are the same person as that. You're not a child. You are not living in 1993, 1980, whatever it is. You're not that person. But you can also um, not say that you are totally different from that person. So that's where interbeing is. So you are not separate from other people's suffering, but also their suffering is not yours. You can't appropriate it. You can't say, "Oh, I am a black man. I am having the experience of a black man because I am interbeing with a black man." It's not true. You don't have that lived experience, and we cannot experience someone else in that way. But we also can't say that we are separate from them. So when it comes to our Buddha body or this awakening other people, Thich Nhat Hanh is saying that this isn't some kind of special enlightenment, spiritual power, as people usually think about it, but rather keeping our awakening mind, our mind of mindfulness, our mind of compassion, our mind of gentleness. And so to be fully present in this life that we're living, to be a Buddha, to wake up, is not so difficult, not so complicated. But if someone is not involved in that, if someone is not maintaining their mindfulness, their awareness, if someone is not connecting with the sources of peace that are accessible to them, then you couldn't say that they are able to help other people to connect with those sources of peace. That's how I understand it.
Thank you, Bante. That helps.
Can
And
I add
it's
something there?
it's just like if we don't know how to show compassion to ourselves, if we don't know how to listen to ourselves, it's going to be very difficult to listen to someone else fully.
Can I add something here?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so this is a question that I've thought about often too, because through my process of understanding all of this, right, I didn't have like a teacher or a master or a guru or anyone guiding me, right? And so that question comes up a lot of how do I know where I'm going or what I'm learning if I don't have, a Buddha sitting there teaching me to do what I need to do? But the passage makes it pretty clear to me that the point of Buddhahood here is to sit there and be mindful and to be present at all points in time, right? I mean, use whatever words you want, but something to that effect. And so what this is saying more to me is that I cannot lead someone else to stillness if I am not still myself. Not that I can't learn stillness from something that's not still, right? So nature itself, right? If we remove the need to see things from a human egocentric point of view, and we recognize the animals and the plants around us as having that nature already, we can learn that simply by interacting with nature itself without the need for, the human words and the language help us, but it's more about, I can't lead someone there if I'm not there myself.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mike. So let's move on to our third body. Who knew we had I didn't even know that we had so many bodies before this chapter, before this reading. So this is really exciting. Moving right along to our third body, that is the spiritual practice body. Our spiritual practice body grows from our Buddha body, and that Buddha body is to have the mind of love, that is to have the mind of awakening, that is to have the mind of mindfulness and being present, watering the seeds of mindfulness, concentration, and a deep looking, introspection, contemplation. We allow our Buddha body to grow, and that is also our capacity. Our Buddha body is our capacity to reduce suffering, our capacity to sow the field, to sow the seeds of peace in our life, that we have that capacity. So that is our Buddha body. So the third body, the spiritual practice body. Our spiritual practice body grows from our Buddha body. Spiritual practice is the art of knowing how to generate happiness and handle suffering. Just as a gardener knows how to make good use of mud in order to grow lotus flowers. Spiritual practice is what helps us to overcome challenging and difficult moments. And because all of us have challenging and difficult moments, spiritual practice may be quite relevant to many of us. It is the art of stopping and looking deeply to gain deeper insight. It is very concrete. We cultivate our spiritual practice body, which we can also call our Dharma body, by cultivating the seeds of awakening and mindfulness in our daily life. The more solid our spiritual body becomes, the happier we will be, and the more we are able to help those around us be happier and suffer less. We all need a spiritual dimension in our life. It is up to each one of us to develop a strong spiritual practice body every day. Every time you take one peaceful step or one mindful breath, your spiritual practice grows. Every time you embrace a strong emotion with mindfulness and restore your clarity and calm, it grows. Then, in difficult moments, your spiritual practice body will be right there with you when you need it. It is there with you at the airport, in the supermarket, or at work. People can steal your phone, computer, or money, but they can never steal your spiritual practice. It is always there to protect and nourish you. And so people who have a spiritual practice, you're quite well off. You have a kind of wealth that is rare and uncommon. And the more that we bring spiritual practice, a Dharma practice, into our daily life, the more wealthy we are going to be able to become, for sure. So it's very valuable to have these practices. Embracing a strong emotion with mindfulness, restoring our clarity and our calm. In the time of the Buddha, there was a monk named Vaikali, who had been one of the Buddha's attendants. It so happened that Vaikali was overly fond of the Buddha, and when the Buddha noticed this, he didn't allow Vaikali to be his attendant anymore. This was very painful for Vaikali, and he suffered very much. He even attempted suicide. Vaikali was attached to the Buddha's human body. But with the practice and teachings, he was able to grow and transform and deepen his understanding of true love. Then one day, when the Buddha was staying at Rajagriha, the capital of an ancient kingdom in northwest India, he got word that Vaikali was very sick and dying. At this time, the Buddha himself was also nearing his own death. But he walked down from Vulture Peak, where he had been staying, and went to visit Vaikali at the house of a potter. The Buddha wanted to speak to Vaikali to see if he was free and ready to release his body without fear. And so he asked, "Dear friend, do you have any regrets?" "No, dear teacher, I have no regrets," replied Vaikali, "except one, that I am so sick I can no longer climb the mountain to contemplate you sitting on Vulture Peak." There was still some attachment. "Vaikali, come on," explained the Buddha. "You already have my Dharma body. You don't need my human body." What we have learned from our teachers is far more important than their physical presence. Our teachers have transmitted to us the fruit of all their wisdom and experience. The Buddha was trying to tell Vaikali that he should look for the teacher within, not the teacher outside. Our teachers are there within us. What more could we want? My physical body may not last very long, but I know that my spiritual practice body, my Dharma body, is strong enough to continue for a very long time. It has helped me through so much. If it were not for my Dharma body, if it were not for my practice of mindfulness, I would never have been able to overcome the great difficulties, pain, and despair I have faced in my life. I have endured wars and violence. My country was divided. My society and Buddhist community were wrought apart. And we encountered so much discrimination, hatred, and despair. It is thanks to my Dharma body that I have been able to survive. And not only survive, but overcome all these difficulties, and grow and transform through them. I do my best to transmit every practice experience I've had to my students. My Dharma body is the best gift I have to offer. It is the body of all the spiritual practices and insights that have brought me healing, transformation, happiness, and freedom. I trust that all my friends and students will receive my spiritual practice body and nourish it even further for the sake of future generations. We need to practice well and to continue to help our spiritual practice body grow and become more and more appropriate to our time. So our spiritual body to be more and more practical, more and more alive, more and more relevant to our life, to our lived experience at this moment. The community body. In 1966, I was exiled from Vietnam because I had dared to come to the West and call for peace. I felt like a bee removed from its beehive, or like a cell suddenly separated from the body. I was cut off from all my colleagues and friends in Vietnam who were doing their best to continue our vital social work and educational programs without me. It was a very difficult and painful time, but the practice of mindfulness helped me to heal, and I began to find ways to build a community outside Vietnam. When I met with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for the last time a year later, we spoke about our dreams of building community. He called it the beloved community. A beloved community is a community of people who share the same aspiration and want to support each other to realize that aspiration. If we want to grow on our spiritual path, we need a community and spiritual friends to support and nourish us. And in return, we support and nourish them, like cells in the same body. On our own, without a community, we cannot do so much. We need a community of like-minded friends and colleagues to help us realize our deepest dreams. It is possible to transform not only our home, but also our work, school, corporation, or hospital into a beloved community, into a kind of family, where there is love, understanding, and true communication. We start with a few colleagues who have the same aspirations, and we build up from there. 4 people is enough. 5 is good, and more than 5 is excellent. The key elements in a beloved community are love, trust, joy, harmony, brotherhood, sisterhood, and personhood, beinghood. When we can generate understanding and compassion in our way of being and working together, everyone we interact with feels that energy right away and is able to profit from it. We can create moments to listen deeply to one another's insights and difficulties, or a relaxing moment with tea and cookies where we take time just to be fully present for each other. Our community can become a source of support and a place of refuge for many people. We nourish our community in our lifetime, and it carries us forward into the future. I like that one. I like the community body. You know, that's something we work on here in our monk life community body. I think it's something that a lot of us are lacking is a deep, rich, compassionate, beloved community. And I think that what Thich Nhat Hanh says here is very true, that there's a limit. You can only do so much alone. You can only do so much, but when you have a people coming together, even 4 or 5 people is excellent, Thich Nhat Hanh says. There's really something powerful there, and it can really support us to walk the path, to continue to grow, and to establish ourselves in a peace and compassion and joy. Would anyone like to share on that part, the 4th body, the community body? Someone like to share something? Okay, so we will read one more body. So everyone can stick around for this last body, this fifth body. And after that, special surprise. So really buckle in and settle in. Don't go anywhere just yet. There's going to be a special happening, a special occurrence after this final portion of the reading. So maybe we can take a deep breath, reorient to be with our body, to be present, to be aware, to listen deeply to these teachings, to these ideas, to open ourselves up, to give ourselves the allowance, the space to really be here, to really listen from the heart. And we can recognize that we are doing so as a community. We're not doing that alone. We're not listening to these teachings alone. The fifth body is the body outside the body. Each one of us can be present in many places in the world. We can be here and at the same time in a prison. We can be here and also in a distant country where the children suffer from malnutrition. We don't have to be present with our physical body. When I write a book, I transform myself into thousands of me that can go a little bit everywhere. Every book becomes my body outside the body. I can enter a home in the form of one of my calligraphies. I can go to a prison in the form of a DVD. One time when I was teaching in Madrid, Spain, a woman from South America told me about a mental health clinic that had programmed a bell of mindfulness to play over its PA system. A bell of mindfulness is a bell that reminds us to stop and come home to ourselves. Every time the doctors, nurses, and patients heard the bell, they would stop what they were doing, come back to themselves, relax, and enjoy breathing mindfully. The clinic also programmed mindfulness bells to sound on its computers and phones. This woman reported that it had a very calming, positive effect on all the healthcare professionals and patients. I have often suggested that it is possible to create moments of stopping, calming, and true presence in healthcare environments. But I have never been to this clinic, nor have our Dharma teachers. How is it possible that none of us have ever been there yet? They practice stopping with the bell the same way we do in all our mindfulness practice centers. Our presence, practices, and actions are non-local. I am not just this flesh and these bones weighing several dozen kilos, or in my case, several hundred kilos. In many prisons in North America and the United Kingdom, there are inmates who practice walking and sitting meditation. They have learned to breathe, to walk, and to speak with kindness and compassion. These prisoners are also me. They are my body, because they have read my books, and they are practicing what they have read and are continuing me. They are my body outside my body. One prisoner happened to have the book, Stepping into Freedom. One prisoner happened to have the book, Stepping into Freedom, the manual I wrote for training novice monks and nuns. And after reading it, He wanted to become a novice monk. Realizing it would be possible for anyone to ordain him, he shaved his own head and transmitted to himself the precepts that a teacher normally would pass on to a student. Then he practiced as a novice monk in his cell in the prison. When I hear these kinds of stories, I know that I am everywhere and my community body is everywhere. Our body is non-local. That prisoner who is practicing mindful walking is us. Our body is not only here, our body is there. We are present everywhere at the same time. It is the same for a father and son, or a mother and daughter. When a father looks at his son with the eyes of signlessness, he sees that his son is also himself. This term, the eyes of signlessness, is referring to seeing without attachment to appearances. So seeing your son exactly the way that they are, not your image of your son, not your idea about your son, not your idea about the world, but just seeing. When a father looks like that, he can see his body outside his body. When the child looks at his father and sees himself in his father, he sees his body outside his body. When looking at our children or grandchildren, we see ourselves, and we begin to see our body outside this body. So that is the fifth body, the body outside the body. We have 3 more, but we will postpone those to our next session. So at this moment, we can all take a moment to find a comfortable position for our body. So we can move a little bit to make sure that we're comfortable and stable. Once you find that comfortable and stable position for your body, you can close your eyes, taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Really bringing your mind, your awareness, any idea that's stuck in your mind or any place that your attention is focusing or has been focusing, taking a deep breath and really bringing the mind, bringing your awareness home to the body. Breathing and being aware of this physical body that is really just like a treasure. See this body and experience this body through your mindful breathing as if it were an incredible, awe-inspiring sight or experience. To really be with the wonder of it, the intimacy of it, giving your full attention to this physical body. And as we feel this physical body, as we are aware of this physical body as a kind of, wow, a very interesting, profound miracle, a wonder. We can bring our awareness to our Buddha body with our mindful breathing. That is to bring our awareness to this capacity, this ability that we all have to transform our suffering. We all have this capacity to be aware, to have a perspective that is founded in love and kindness and compassion. We all have this capacity to be deeply present, deeply loving. And so as we breathe in deeply and mindfully, as we're really with our breath and our physical body, we can be aware that the Buddha body is also there. That we have this profound, deep, rich capacity to be loving, kind, and compassionate people. We have this capacity to understand our suffering and to be kind to it, to be patient with it. We really do have this ability to end our suffering, to be at peace. And thirdly, we bring our mind to our body of spiritual practice. So the physical treasure, this physical body is here. We are aware of our Buddha body, our capacity to be loving, to be compassionate, to be kind. And at this moment we connect with our spiritual practice body, our Dharma body. That is, we get involved skillfully. We practice mindfulness. We cultivate those seeds of loving kindness towards ourselves. We cultivate those seeds of understanding, of waking up. We practice mindfulness of breathing right now. This Dharma body is very alive. It's not so separate from us. It's not so distant from us. We have a relationship with it. And we can be aware, we can be mindful of this Dharma body in any situation, at any time. We can take up our practice of mindful breathing, whether we are walking, sitting, at work, listening to someone, sharing with someone. This body of practice, of putting forth the effort, is there. And finally, there is this community body. We are not practicing alone. We don't come to these sessions alone. We are here in community. We are supporting other people in their practice by being here. And our practice is supported by the people who are here joining. Moment by moment, breath by breath, practicing this mindfulness of breathing connecting with the treasure, the peace that is the body, and certainly is within the body. Breathing in, we are aware of our whole body, the physical body. Breathing in, we are aware of our ability to transform suffering, our ability to be loving and kind, our ability to wake up. Breathing in, we are aware of our spiritual body, that is, our practice, our mindful breathing, our sincere engaging in these practices. Cultivating these seeds of kindness, understanding, compassion. Breathing in, we are aware of the community body. We are aware of this community. And as we breathe out, as we let go, as we share this breath with the world, we are aware of the body outside the body. That these good deeds, that our practice of meditation, that our sincerity of being, our sincerity for being kind, patient, and understanding is affecting the world around us. There is simply no need to be small-minded, self-centered, or to suffer, but to find peace in the many bodies, the many experiences that we are having right now. So I invite everyone, if you like, to bring your hands together with me. And we do this as a kind of expression of sincerity and respect and appreciation for our practice and for everyone else's practice who's here joining. And then as we finish this meeting of the Buddha Book Club, the Buddhist Book Club, we will chant together this word sadhu. And this is a very old Buddhist word that means well done and may it be so. So kind of giving ourselves a pat on the back and also expressing, sharing our practice. Okay, so we chant it 3 times and I invite you to sing along with me. Sadhu. 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 Okay, thank you everyone so much for joining for our ongoing Buddhist book club. I hope this brought some wisdom and some joy and some peace into your life. We can keep in our hearts and our minds a deep appreciation for Thich Nhat Hanh and his continued guidance, his body outside the body that continues to support us in our practice. And I hope that everyone will take a good care of your life and take a good care of your practice. Okay? Thank you for joining, everyone.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bonsai.